Okay, so next let's look at the T cytotoxic cells, or the TC cells. So the T cytotoxic cells, they have the same type of T cell receptors. We're going to have our TC cells, and these are going to have a T cell receptor, and what these are going to interact with, though, instead of interacting with antigen presenting cells, instead these are going to interact with what's called nucleated cells. So I'm going to put here. So nucleated cells, that's practically, every cell in your body. So nucleated cells have what's called MHC1. So instead of MHC2, they have major histocompatibility complex 1. So what happens with these nucleated cells? So if the cell is healthy, it doesn't present any abnormal antigen. When the T cell, the T cytotoxic cell, comes up and it's like, does a little secret handshake or something with the nucleated cell. It's like, hey, there's no bad antigen here, so it'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Keep checking all these different nucleated cells. So we'll just say this one's a normal, healthy cell. But if, so typically when the T cytotoxic cell interacts with the normal cell, there's not going to be any reaction. There's nothing there that's going to trigger the T cytotoxic cell to want to destroy that cell. So what happens then if for some reason that nucleated cell, so remember, all these nucleated cells are going to have MHC1, major histocompatibility complex 1, and let's say this one is now, it's infected. Okay, we'll put, here we'll make a little virus there. Okay, so this cell is infected by a virus, so the cell's probably going to start displaying some weird antigens, right? Because if the virus is making this cell produce its own, proteins and things that it needs for more copies of this virus, then there's going to be some abnormal proteins that are made, and this cell will start showing those proteins on its MHC1. So here I'm going to put, this is going to be abnormal antigen. Okay, so before we could just have, normal antigen. Now it's going to be abnormal. So what's going to happen then is, as the T cell, the same one here was, coming through, it's like, nope, this one's healthy, there's nothing strange going on, and that T cell next will come here. So we'll go ahead, we'll say this is the T cytotoxic cell. Here's the T cell receptor that's going to interact with the MHC1 of a nucleated cell, and as it comes up to this, it'll say, oh my goodness, this cell is showing abnormal antigen. It's like, a red flag, literally a red flag that, well, not very literally, but figuratively, a red flag that there's something wrong going on inside this cell. And at this point, the T cytotoxic cell is like, well, if we let this cell keep living, it's gonna probably cause damage. If there's something inside this, if there's a virus, once that virus gets out, it's just gonna infect hundreds of healthy cells. So it decides it's just gonna go ahead and kill it off. So the T cytotoxic cell, when it becomes activated by encountering abnormal antigen, presented to it by MHC1 of a nucleated cell, it's gonna become what's called a T cytotoxic lymphocyte. So we'll just put this, we'll say T cytotoxic cell, we'll put activated, becomes a cytotoxic T lymphocyte. Oops, I can't even spell. Or what's called a CTL. So the I can't even say it now. Cytotoxic T lymphocyte. This is going to go ahead then, and it's going to release these proteins, kind of like little tiny bullets, that are going to shoot this cell and cause it to die. Okay, so it goes doop doop and gets, burst open pretty much. So we'll kind of go through that one more time. So once again, nucleated cells, which is almost every cell in your body, is going to present MHC1 on its surface. And when a healthy cell becomes infected or maybe becomes cancerous, it's going to go ahead and start producing this abnormal protein, some abnormal antigen. So normal cells don't produce any, funky antigens, but ones that are infected by viruses or, parasites, or if it's cancerous, then they start showing this abnormal antigen, on its MHC1. So anyways, like we said, the T cytotoxic cells, they're kind of roaming around looking to make sure that all of the body cells are in check. So they go around like, nope, you're healthy, you're okay, moves on to the next cell. This one, it goes, hey, you're, have something weird going on inside you because you have this abnormal antigen. It's best if we just kill you. Okay, so T cytotoxic cell, when it encounters the abnormal antigen, it then becomes activated, becomes a cytotoxic T lymphocyte, and then that releases this, didn't label that, releases the cytotoxic proteins that then kill off this infected cell. So that's how we get rid of, cells that are infected by viruses, cancerous cells, that type of thing. So let's go ahead then and talk about one more type of immune cell that's going to kill off cancerous cells.